Hey Freebs Nation, it's Jordan Page from FunCheaperFree.com, and whether you're ready or not, the holidays are coming, so we're going to talk about how to budget for them. Oh yeah! Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. I really wish I could tell you that I had decorations, but let's be honest, Halloween was a week ago, so Merry Christmas. But whether I'm ready or not, whether you're ready or not, the holidays are upon us. And as on Instagram, which you guys should follow me right here if you don't, it's a lot of fun over there, I asked what you would like to see videos on, and a resounding majority of you wanted to see how to budget for the holidays and how to spend for the holidays without spending yourself into a hole. So here we are. I'm just gonna tell you what I do and what's worked for my families and what I have been coaching all of my freebs to do for years and years and years through my budget bootcamp program, which you can use the code YouTube for 10% off for those of you who've been asking. And I'm just gonna show you a few options, a few ways that you can tighten your budget, keep track of your budget, and have an incredible holiday without overspending. Let's get to it. The first tip is probably the most important one. Okay, let's be honest, I say that for every tip, but I might actually mean it for this one. The first thing you need to do is decide how much you're willing to spend for the holidays. Now, I celebrate Christmas in my house, and I know that many of you do too. So just for the sake of simplicity, I'm actually going to just use Christmas as an example, but just know that whether you do or don't celebrate Christmas, or whether we're talking about Thanksgiving or Easter or whatever other holiday, this still applies. I'm just using Christmas as an example. Got it? You need to decide that as early as you can. Ideally, you would decide how much to spend on Christmas in January so that you have 12 months, 11 months to save up and plan ahead. Set yourself a budget, but what you need to understand is that budget isn't only for gifts. I know that that's like a lot of what's on the forefront of our minds for holidays is how much we're gonna gift people, what we're gonna buy, but there's a lot more to the holidays than just gifts. So what you need to include in this budget is food, travel, decorations. Maybe you take time off for the holidays, but you don't get paid time off, so you need to make sure that you're accounting for a lack of paycheck that month. There are a lot of things that budget should include, so make sure it envelops everything. How much to spend for that holiday? Honestly, that's up to you and your significant other in your family or whatever. One thing you could do is take what you spent last year and start there. If it was a shocking number that kind of had you hyperventilating, then why don't you cut off about a third or maybe even half of that price and start there for this year and see if you can do that. All right, now that you have your budget and you know how much you're gonna spend for this particular holiday, what you need to do is break it up. Nobody wants to be slapped with a giant credit card bill come January because you put Christmas all on a credit card because you didn't save up for it. Naughty. So what you're going to do is take your budget and divide it by 12 or however many months ahead you are watching this video. If it's July, that would be July, August, September, October, November, December. 5 months, you would take your budget and divide it by 5. If you're starting in January, you would take your budget and divide it by 12. And that tells you how much you need to set aside every month so that by the time that holiday comes around, you've already got that money saved up, set aside, and ready to go for the holiday. No credit cards needed. Oh, what? That's amazing. One tip that I've been teaching for eons is to open a separate bank account just for holidays. And if it's a massive holiday like Christmas, maybe you even open a separate bank account just for Christmas. I have a viral budgeting technique that I've talked about on the Today Show, on Rachel Ray, Good Morning America. I've talked about it all over, and it's called the 7 bank accounts every family should have. I will link that video below. Please check it out. The concept is that the more bank accounts you have, the more organized your money becomes. No, it doesn't cost you any extra. No, there are no additional bank fees, or there shouldn't be. If you've got a lot of fees, you need to switch banks. Trust me, just watch the video and I'll show you how to do it. But using this concept of opening multiple bank accounts to organize your money, have a separate bank account for Christmas or whatever the holiday is. And then each month, as you're setting aside that budget, stick it in that account. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's separated from your other money, and it is there when it comes time to spend it. So you've got your budget, you've been setting it aside all year, you've got it in a separate bank account. Girl, you're doing awesome. Now the holiday is upon us. One of my tips, believe it or not, especially for something big like Christmas, is to not start too early. I know some people love to do all their Christmas shopping in June or May or July. The reality is, for most of us, we're just not that organized. And if you start shopping that early, by the time Christmas comes, you've kind of forgotten how much you've spent, what you bought, and you end up buying more than you need. And trust me, I know from experience, because I've tried it. And I'm pretty good at this. I teach that the sweet spot for a holiday is really between 60 and 90 days before that holiday. So with Christmas being end of December, that would be very beginning of November, maybe late October if you're really ahead of the game. But once November hits, it's go time. And that's really when you should be focusing, shopping, buying, and preparing. Much earlier than that, you're probably gonna overspend. Sorry, it is true. So now that you're within that 60-ish day window, the next step is to take your overall budget that we set in tip number 1 and now break it out. So this is, let's use Christmas still as an example. This is where you decide, okay, so here's my big budget for Christmas. Now, how much do I need for Christmas dinner? How many gifts do I need to buy? And how much should I allot for each gift? How much do I need for travel or decorations or whatever it is? And that's where you just have to sit down and do the math and set a budget for every part of the holiday, or you're gonna be spending double or more, but we won't talk about that. The real tip of all tips is that once you have all these budgets broken down, how do you keep track of them? This, my friends, comes down to just a standard little envelope. Ooh, what? Ooh, magical. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can track your budgets using an envelope. Now, why an envelope? Well, for one, oh, they're just so cute. They're just so cute and little. Hi. A small little envelope you can keep in your wallet, in your bag, in your purse, and you would be likely to never leave home without it. Another reason why I love envelopes is because they hold stuff, namely receipts. After the holiday, if you need to return anything, if you need to go back and recalculate and see how much you spent because you lost track, it's all here safe and sound. Lastly, for those who do prefer to spend in cash, or for those who maybe haven't quite gotten a handle on spending with a credit card or debit card and it's way too easy to go over, I do recommend spending with cash and keeping that cash in this envelope. Just be very careful. I did a cash envelope system once and ended up losing an entire envelope of cash, and it was devastating. So if you are going to spend with cash and if you're going to use an envelope, keep it safe, keep it sound, and don't hand it to me because I'm gonna set it down somewhere and completely forget it. The good news is my envelope system can be used with cash, debit card, or credit card, so whatever your preference is, I got you covered. Let me show you these 3 simple ways to track your holiday budget. The first way is for those of you who are minimalistic. That is where all you need is one main envelope. I actually have a printable of this, a free printable on my blog, funcheaperfree.com, and I will link it below. For the sake of this video, I'm just gonna show you this super sloppy handmade one, so don't judge me. What you would do is you would take a basic white legal envelope, just like this. The sturdier the better, because it's gonna get a little hammered over 60 days. And just divide it into 2 columns. If you don't have very many needs for Christmas, you could make it 1 column and just divide it out to give yourself a little more space. So maybe before making the envelope, you should decide how many things you need to budget for Christmas. I'm showing you a pretty excessive envelope right now to show you how I would do it. Next, you divide the columns into squares so that every square gets its own little budget. Some of my examples here are Christmas travel, Christmas dinner, a Christmas party, maybe Christmas decorations, maybe teacher gifts, and so on and so on. You could have 1 envelope just for gifts for people where you have like Papa, Hutch, Jordan, Priya, and you put everybody's names on it, and then a second one for everything else, such as travel, party, decor, whatever, or you can keep it on 1 envelope, up to you. But the most important part of this is that you need to assign a dollar amount budget to every single category, every single square, or else you don't know if you're overspending or not, girlfriend. You got it? Let's say that I'm focusing on Christmas dinner. Let's say that I'm hosting this year. Let's say that I still calculate that it's gonna cost me about $100 to host Christmas dinner between the drinks and the food that I'm creating and the spices and maybe some cute decorations, whatever. So I set a budget for Christmas dinner, and then what I do is as I go throughout the month and as I buy things, you use it kind of like an old school check register. Let's say that I run to the store and I buy a turkey when it's on sale and I spend $30 on a turkey. I write what I've spent, but most importantly, I keep a running total of how much I have left in that budget, which 170, that's what that is. You get the gist. So now I know at a moment's glance that I have $70 left for my dinner budget. If you use a standard pen, you're gonna have a lot more space. This is a little chunky monkey because I'm trying to make this visual for you, but you get the idea. Keep all your receipts in here. So this is way number one, This is option number one, technique number one, and I don't know, number one. Number two, now this is for those of you who are still on the minimalistic side, but that you like a little bit more space to write or a little bit more options and flexibility. You like keeping it loosey-goosey. That is this. Now, if any of you guys have followed my envelope budget system, I will leave the link below. But if you guys have seen that or follow that method, then this looks pretty familiar to you. The basis of this is that you are simplifying your budget and that you don't have 4, 8, 10 budgets that you're keeping track of individually necessarily, but rather you're simplifying so that it's a little bit less math. What you would do here is take an envelope, divide it in half, and you would essentially assign 2 budgets for that holiday. That's it, just 2. Maybe one of them is gifts, maybe the other one is food and travel. You give yourself an assigned budget for each one. Let's say for gifts this year for everyone in my family and teacher gifts and neighbor gifts and whatever else, let's say I was gonna spend $700 on all those gifts. And then for food and travel, let's say I'm giving myself $300. So total, I have $1,000 to spend on Christmas. This just makes the math a little easier and it gives a little flexibility so that if you end up setting a $100 budget for one person for gifts, but you end up finding the one gift you really want for them on super sale, then that means that frees up some of that $100 budget that you can put in other places. So it gives you just a little bit more flexibility. But still, like the other envelope, what you're gonna do is as you spend, you're going to write down, let's say you spent $50 on a Lego set, Legos for Hutch. You write what it is, and then you do the math. And you always know how much you have left. This would be really good for a smaller holiday like Thanksgiving, where you have maybe Thanksgiving travel and Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe this is for a birthday, maybe this is for Easter or another holiday, or Christmas, that works too. Last but not least is for those who really don't care how many envelopes you have, you just wanna keep it really organized and super micromanaged, and that is get yourself a bunch of envelopes and assign one full envelope per budget category. So in this case, I would have an envelope just for my Bubba Christmas gifts, and let's say that my budget for him is $200. So you write how much you have at the top, you keep track of it just like everywhere else, you keep your receipts in it, and then you do the same thing for all the other categories. So you would have a travel envelope, you would have a dinner envelope, you would have a neighbor gift envelope, photography envelope, whatever. So this is good for those of you who just really want it all out there. But again, just keep in mind that this is more to carry around, and especially if you're spending with cash, you just wanna make sure that you keep these with you all the time and real safe. That is it, you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I hope you guys have an incredible holiday season. Whatever holiday it is that's coming up when you watch this video right now, just know that these methods work for any holiday, any time of year. Set a budget, break it down, track it well, you got this. For more hand-holding and way more budgeting tips like this, be sure to check out my budgeting program, budgetbootcamp.com. You can use the code YouTube for 10% off. But guess what? If you're watching this in November, our biggest sale of the year is happening, our early Black Friday sale, so be sure to keep your eye on that. I have a lot of budgeting to do, and I also have a lot of Halloween decorations to go put away, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Until next time. Bye. I'm just gonna go throw this away, put it out of his misery. Come on, little buddy. It's time. Merry Christmas.